So you're thinking about leaving your 9-to-5 job. You're just about to make the plunge, but you want to make sure that you're ready. This video is for you. I recently left my 9-to-5 job and I'm about 2 months in to being a full-time work from home online entrepreneur. I have learned a ton in these first couple of months, and I want to show you exactly the process that I took to leave my 9-to-5 and what I've learned so far. I'm going to give you 4 crucial steps that you need to take, and then I want to show you some things that I've learned and just the exciting journey that this has been for me. I think this video is going to provide a lot of value to you if you are thinking about taking the plunge. I'm so excited for you. It's really, really cool here on the other side. So if I can help you get ready for it, then this video will be a success. I want to put something free in your hands that will be a great complement to this video and other videos on online business, and that is my super simple guide to making your first $500 online. Go to lanesebring.com/supersimple. I outline the exact steps that I took to get from being a full-time 9-to-5 job worker to being a full-time entrepreneur. I'd love to put that into your hands. Again, lanesebring.com/supersimple. The very first thing that we have to map out is the stages of online business. And basically there are 3 that I'm going to identify. There might be different ways to look at this, but these are the 3 that I think are important for our purposes. The first one is a side hustle. This is where you still have your full-time job, you still have your 9-to-5, but you're growing a business on the side. I did this where I was a pastor working full-time, and at the same time on the side I was building my business, which is called Preaching Donkey, where I help preachers and I consult with preachers and churches to help them be more effective at leadership, church leadership, and preaching. So that was my side hustle, and I did that for about 5 years on the side, and it grew over time. Now the challenges that you might have might be the same that I had, where my 9-to-5 job wasn't just a 9-to-5 job. It took up a lot of time and energy, and I had to work a lot on this job that I had. So the side hustle I had to do early in the morning. That was where I found time to do it. So I would get up, I would work from 6 a.m. to 8:30, and then I would leave my house at 8:30 and be at work about 8:45 or 9 every day. Fortunately, I had a very short commute, so I could do that. I could pack in 2.5 hours from 6 to 8:30 every morning. Sometimes I would work on it at night, but most of the time just in the morning, and then I would work on it on the weekends as I got hours here and there. And I did that for several years and built enough income and enough revenue to take the plunge. So the first stage is side hustle, and that might be where you are. The second stage is solopreneur. This is where you jump off by yourself into entrepreneurship, and it's just you. You no longer have the 9-to-5, it's just you running your business, and you kind of do all of it, okay? It's you, and you're a solopreneur. And honestly, that's where I thought I would be for a long time. I figured I'd be a solopreneur for a couple of years before I started hiring team members. I was wrong. I actually hired a virtual assistant 2 weeks ago who just started last week, and it's been a game changer. I'm going to do more videos on how that's working out, but I went from being a solopreneur to being the CEO of my little team, okay? I was already the CEO of this business, but I'm running a team. So it goes side hustle, solopreneur, and then CEO or business owner, right? You're leading the team, you're the visionary, you're leading the charge. And this can have multiple different levels. Obviously, I have one very part-time team member, so in some ways, I'm kind of a cross between a solopreneur and that CEO, but eventually you get to the point where you have multiple team members if that's your goal. For me, it isn't necessarily my goal. My goal is to create a business that's somewhat automated and passive so that I can live my life and my business makes money for me. That's the kind of business I want. But I am going to need some part-time help from some specific kinds of assistance that can help me along the way. So those are the 3 stages. And I'm guessing that if you're watching this video, you're in that side hustle stage where you're looking to become a full-time entrepreneur, solopreneur. Maybe you have one team member, maybe you don't, but you're looking to jump and make the plunge from your job to online business full-time. And that's exciting, okay? There are 4 stages that I want to walk you through that I took that made this process so much easier, okay? So let's map these out one at a time. The first thing you need is a plan. I know this sounds simple and pedantic, but you need a plan. You need to know what products are you going to develop, what services are you going to offer, how are you going to make money, what is it going to look like 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. You need to know that if you make a jump, your revenue is going to grow and your business is going to scale. And this is common sense, but I think sometimes when you are a side hustle business owner, you don't need the income because you have your full-time job. So you have the luxury of treating everything kind of like a hobby. This is the way I was. I was passionate about the content, but I didn't necessarily need to make any money off of what I was doing. So I would experiment with things, and it's a great stage to be in. If you're a side hustler and you can do it for a prolonged period of time and you can hold on to both your job and your side hustle, I would highly recommend that. Do it for as long as you can because you have the freedom and the flexibility to try things and fail and experiment. I did this for 5 or 6 years and it really set me up for this stage now because I have a rock solid plan. I got great coaching. I've experimented with a lot of things and I know exactly what works for me in my business. It's just at this point a matter of scaling it. So make a plan, write it down, specifically focus on what are the things that are going to generate revenue for you. Is it coaching? Is it consulting? Is it product, course creation, membership sites? Is it growing a large YouTube channel and getting ad revenue? Is it developing a software as a service? What is it? Just make sure that you know the plan and how you are going to execute that plan. Number 2, if you're moving from a 9-to-5 and you're coming to working at home, you need a dedicated space. I have 4 kids, 6 years of age and younger, okay? I have a 6-year-old, 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 9-month-old. Lots of kids running around my house. This would not be possible if I didn't have this room that I'm sitting in right now. This is my dedicated space in my house, in my basement, and it's far away from all the noise. So I would say work with the space that you have and carve out where are you going to do your work. What does it look like if you're doing video content? Make sure that you have a decent backdrop. I've been working on mine. I'm going to do a tour of my space in another video once I get everything kind of set the way I want it. But I've got this set up where I work at that desk and I shoot videos right here and everything's always ready to go. And this is crucial if you're going to work from home. You need to have a space that you can walk into at any point and get right to work. You have this at your office. You've got your cubicle, you've got your office, you got your desk, you got whatever you have to have that at home. If you think that you can do this just by popping your laptop open and sitting on your bed or sitting at the table, that might work if you don't have kids and no one else is in the house, but it's so much better to have a dedicated space, even if it's just an area in a room that maybe you use for other things. Maybe it's an area in your bedroom, but it's a specific set aside corner of the room where things are curated and ready for work. So the first thing is you need a plan. The second thing is you need space. The third thing you need is support. And what I mean is relational support from the people in your life. If you're married, your spouse has to be totally supportive of this plan. For me, my wife, this was a big deal for us to leave the security of a full-time job. I've always had a job. I've always been in pastoral ministry for as long as I've been an adult, okay? For the last 16 years of my life, I've been on staff at churches. So with that comes the things that come from a normal job. I had a paycheck every 2 weeks, no matter what, okay? Unless I just stopped working or something, but I had a paycheck, I had time off, I had benefits, I had health care, I had retirement, I had all that stuff. And all that stuff is gone, okay? It's all gone, and the business has to generate enough revenue to replace all of that. So that's a huge step, especially when you have a lot of kids. Now, I had a good plan, I had good revenue, the trajectory's going in the right direction, and so all that stuff was there. But if my wife didn't support me in this and didn't believe in me and wasn't 100% on board for me to do this, guess what? Wouldn't have worked. I wouldn't be doing it. Okay? You have to have the support from your spouse or your friends or your parents if you still live at home or your roommates. Like, make sure that you have the support from the people in your life that you need it from the most. So you need a plan, you need space, you need support. Number 4, and this is super practical, but you need savings, okay? You need money in the bank. You don't know how your business is gonna do, right? Just because you performed well one month doesn't mean you perform well the next month. I had a really good July of 2020. My last day at work was June 25th, so July was my first full month. And it was a great month revenue-wise. It was awesome. I was selling courses and I was making waves and things were awesome. And I had a really good month and it was great. August, not so much, okay? It was up and then it was down. And that is the ebb and flow of business. That's just the way it works. So fortunately, I have savings that will get me through when the months are low like that. So I wouldn't have jumped, I wouldn't have made the leap if I didn't have a substantial amount of savings. Now, the benefit of being a side hustler is that you still have your 9-to-5 job and you build the business on the side, and as it makes revenue, save that money. Go ahead and pay off debt, get rid of bad, consumer debt, car loans, student loans, get rid of those payments, and let that money just grow for you over time. That's what we were able to do. The money that I was making from my business was building for us a savings buffer between us and having to go back to a 9-to-5 job. So figure out, what does it cost for you to live in a month? What does it cost for you to support yourself or your family or both for a month? And figure out, okay, how much savings do I need for 6 months or for a year? In my case, we have a year's worth of savings, and then plus whatever my business is making. With full-time effort, my business should and is making more, except for August, but it's making more than it was before, and we have the savings. So you put those two together, and it's an amazing thing. So make sure that you've got cash reserves so that when bad times come, you're not having to go back to work. So you need a plan, you need a specific space, you need support from your family and friends, and you need savings. The 5th thing, and this is perhaps the most important because this is where the rubber meets the road. You can have all of those things, but if you don't have this, it ain't gonna work. And that is intrinsic motivation, discipline. Discipline and intrinsic motivation are key. You have to show up every day. Nobody makes me come down here into my office. Nobody makes me get up at 5:15 every day, hit the gym, come home, get a shower, make breakfast, and then head down here by 7:30 every morning. Nobody's making me do that. So guess what? If I didn't have intrinsic motivation and discipline, I would slack off. I wouldn't do it. Now, I'm not the most disciplined person in the world, but I do have enough discipline and enough intrinsic motivation to know that I want to be down here. I want to be working. This is what I want to be doing. I don't want to have to go back to having a job because that's not for everybody, and I'm one of those people that it's not for, at least not right now. So I want to be here where I can create content for my Preaching Donkey community and for you, and I can develop products, I can coach people, I can consult with people, I can do the work that I absolutely love doing, that I wake up in the morning thinking about. And if I don't show up every day and make good use of this time, guess what? This opportunity will pass, we'll run out of savings, and I'll have to go back to work, which I don't want to do. So you've got to have that intrinsic motivation, because if you're the type of person who you need the boss that's kind of standing over your shoulder all the time, breathing down your neck, saying, hey, you need to get these deadlines done, you need to make this happen, then this may not be for you. You just need to really make sure that you've got that intrinsic motivation. Now, there's ways to map that out so that it's easier. When you have the plan, which is the very first thing we talked about, it's easier to have the discipline because you just let the plan speak for itself. You're not having to drum up the motivation every day. It's one thing to have a big overarching plan, but you need a detailed plan for what you're gonna do every month, every week, every day. And at first, I didn't have that, and I'm still mapping out what this looks like, but I've learned that I need to get very specific with my plan, and then my discipline is just merely to stick to the plan, which makes it pretty easy. So if I have enough intrinsic motivation, which I tell people, when I quit my job, I became very passionate about not starving to death, okay? So it's relatively easy for me at this point to have the intrinsic motivation, right? It's there. I want to make this work. And at the same time, the discipline is there because if I don't show up every day, it's not going to happen. So those are the 5 things that I would say are so vitally important to your success as you jump from being a side hustle person to being a solopreneur. I want to give you the things that I've learned. Okay, so those are the 5 steps that I think you got to take. Here's the things that I've learned. Number 1, more time does not equal more productivity. I thought, because I used to work 40, 50 hours a week plus my side hustle, I thought, man, once I don't have this job kind of taking up all this space and time and energy in my life, then I'll be so much more productive. Not true. Productivity is still something that you have to work at, because more time does not equal more productivity. Better usage of time equals more productivity. And so just because you get more hours in a day, if you don't use them well, if you waste them on social media, or you waste them on things that don't actually make your business any money, they don't generate revenue, like checking email, looking at social media, changing the colors of the buttons on your website, like the stuff that we do when we don't want to do things that actually move the needle because they're hard, the piddly stuff that we do that's easier, that doesn't move the needle. And so just because you have more time does not mean you're going to be more productive, and that's something that I learned. More productive usage of time is more productive. The second thing I learned, and this is really cool, you make your own rules. It's awesome. This hit me just recently. I was very frustrated about the fact that I wasn't getting content out consistently. And this is something that's very important to me in my business and in the business model that I follow and that I teach. Content has to be consistent and regular and predictable, not boring, but in terms of the people who follow you need to know that it's coming. And I wasn't getting content out in that way. And so I had this epiphany when I was mowing the yard and I was listening to podcasts on time management. For some reason, when I mow and I listen to podcasts, I have all my epiphanies. It's really pretty amazing. Like, just the thoughts come in my mind that are really profound and really game-changing, really life-changing. And so I thought, oh my gosh, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start batching my content, which is something that I've always learned and that I've tried to do before, but I never had the time. Batching is when, instead of recording one video and editing it and putting it up, you record 7 or 8 videos at one time, edit all of them, and then schedule them out, so that the time that it would take you to maybe edit and record and produce one video, you can get 3 or 4 done just simply by batching, because you've already got the camera set up, the lights set up, you're already ready to go. And so you just do lots of videos at one time, or lots of blog posts at one time, or whatever. So I always knew that batching was something that I should do, but I didn't have that kind of time when I was a full-time employee. Well, now that I have my own business and I'm a solopreneur and I get to do what I want, it hit me. I thought, oh, okay. So on the first Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of every month, I'm going to make the content for the whole month for both of my brands, for Lane Sebring and for Preaching Donkey. And then the first thought in my mind was, I can't do that. I've got to check email. I've got to do this. I've got that. I've got coaching clients. And then I thought, no, I make my own rules. Like, I got to manage around the obligations that I have and make sure that I'm serving my clients well. But if I want to take 3 days and do nothing but develop content, guess what? I can do that. There's no one telling me that I can't. And that's the amazing thing, because I know that if I do this, it's an investment in the rest of my month where I can then drill down into other parts of my business. And so that's an amazing, amazing thing. So you make your own rules, and that's exciting. The third thing that I've learned is that it's sink or swim. When you go out on your own, when you step out into your own business and you leave the 9 to 5, it is sink or swim, okay? You are either going to make it work and solve the math problem, which, here's the thing, this is what I tell my coaching clients in business. It's simply a math problem. When you're getting started, it's not about making $100,000 a month or $10,000 a month, unless that's what you need every month, which I doubt you need that much. It's not about that. It's about the math problem of how much do you actually need in a month? What do you need to make? And how do you situate your business and your products and your offerings to make that much money a month? It's just a math problem. So if you need $5,000 a month to make it, how do you make $5,000 a month? How many products do you have to sell? How many coaching clients do you have to coach? How many people do you need to consult with? How many people need to join your membership site? How many ads do you need to show on YouTube? Whatever the case, it's a math problem, right? but it's sink or swim. You either solve that math problem and your business grows and you stay afloat, or you don't, right? There's no safety net. There's no paycheck coming whether you are productive or not, okay? At least not right away. Eventually, as your business grows, if you have the right model of business, the kind that I teach where it's a passive income model, you have things in evergreen that are always making you money and you're just feeding that engine, then yes, you don't have to be as productive forever. But wow, when you're first getting started and you're jumping out onto your own, it is a big deal to get going right away because it's sink or swim. And then finally, the last thing I learned is that it's a thrill. I love it. It's so fun. It's hard to explain how exciting it is to wake up every day and think, I get to work on the things and only the things that I love today. Now, there are things that I don't like doing in my business, but I keep those to a minimum, and I hired a virtual assistant to help with a lot of that stuff, which I'll talk about in another video. So by and large, I get to do the things that I love doing. I get to do the things that I feel like I was put on the planet to do. I get to help pastors and church leaders lead more effectively and preach more effectively. I get to help entrepreneurs and business owners and self-publishers like you get their messages out into the world, generate enough revenue to support their families, and reach their goals. I can't think of anything more exciting than that. I love it. And so it's such a thrill, and I feel so fortunate every day that God gave me this opportunity, and I don't want to squander it. I want to make the best of it. And so those are the things that I've learned. Those are the steps that you need to take. And so I want to hear from you. Where are you in your journey? Are you a side hustler looking to jump out and be a solopreneur? Are you a solopreneur looking to hire a team? Where are you in this journey? What kind of business are you in? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Be sure to like this video if you got value out of it. Share it with a friend, and I will see you in the next video.